down. That afternoon, his lavish mansion in the Buckhead district of Atlanta would be raided by the Atlanta PD. And soon after, social media news pages would shock the world with numerous posts and compilations of clips from the ongoing raid. The videos would show that Atlanta PD spared no expense, and either as a precaution or more likely to send a message, the operation included an army of police, armored vehicles, and even police helicopters. The video would also show Thug being walked down the street to a police vehicle with his hands tied behind his back with what looked like zip ties. As Young Thug was arrested, his phone would be seized and the police would begin a comprehensive search of his estate, a search that would later lead to additional charges for drugs and guns found in the home.
Young Thug is scheduled to appear in court today in Georgia on gang-related charges. The rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams, was one of 28 people named in an indictment in that state. He's charged with conspiracy to violate the state's RICO Act and participation in criminal street gang activity.
As a sign of the current times, it would be the social media pages that would be providing the most up-to-date information about these developing events, as journalists like Atlanta-based George Chidi from The Guardian would confirm already that same night that Thug was being held at the Fulton County Jail on narcotics and gang charges, as well as stating that this appeared to be the beginning of a state RICO case against the street gang that had already been alluded to by the Fulton DA Fannie Willis the previous month. Soon, the news about Thug's arrest would also reach the subreddit Atlantaology that focuses on the city's rap and gang scenes, with one of the first comments on the news being how somebody on Reddit had actually predicted that this arrest would happen, while the original poster would reply how it had only been a matter of time after Christian Eppinger, aka Big Briss, had almost killed a police officer a few months earlier. Indeed, the journalist George Chidi would explain to DJ Vlad how he believed that it was Eppinger's actions that actually triggered the arrests of YSL members, including Thug.
Epinger's arrest, I think.
And that's why you gotta watch who you kick it around, because there ain't no way you telling me that Thug wasn't minding his business, being rich as hell, hitting Mariah the Scientist, so that's fine, hitting her, backbreaking. You dig what I'm saying? He good, he Gucci. And then this dumbass nigga in Atlanta that claim my set or claim my hood or whatever starts popping at police, and now I get indicted and now I got a RICO.
Was what set off the rest of this. I think the district attorney says that they were looking at things before then, and they were, but they weren't getting ready to act. Like Eppinger's arrest set off the chain that ultimately ended up with Young Thug being arrested.
Another Reddit user would comment their surprise that law enforcement would now hitting rappers and their crews with RICO charges, wondering who would be next, with the first reply rather correctly predicting that it would indeed be Lil Durk's OTF crew. But still, on the night of the 9th, local TV reporter Michael Seiden would tweet the first official source of the breaking news, confirming that rappers Young Thug and Gunna were among 28 defendants charged in a 56-count indictment in Fulton County. He would also add that the indictment included charges of conspiring to violate the RICO Act, murder, armed robbery, and participation in criminal street gang activity. The DA's office would remain tight-lipped about the indictment, ignoring all media inquiries, the implication perhaps being that they plan to remain silent until they had caught as many of the 28 defendants charged in the indictment as possible. Then, another update was posted from the WSB TV reporter, confirming that Young Thug had indeed been booked on charges of conspiracy to violate the RICO Act and participation in criminal street gang activity. Alongside the final piece of evidence of his arrest, a mugshot would appear of the King Slime himself, with Young Thug being confirmed to be behind bars. There were also questions about Gunna, but as of 10 p.m. that night, Gunna had yet to be booked into jail, but he would eventually turn himself in a few days later on the early hours of May the 11th. Years later, Thug and Gunna's closest associate Lil Baby would recall on Lil Yachty's Safe Place podcast how he had actually visited Thug at his Buckhead mansion on the very day the arrest went down, feeling that he had barely avoided getting mixed up in the case himself.
Could have been with him.
Yeah.
You know, I was at his house the same day. Thank God I just happened
Same
to
day,
leave 2 hours early.
That's crazy.
That don't f your head up more than anything. Like, damn, I gotta see bro go through it. Like, damn, that shit really could have been me.
The full indictment would eventually become available online for the whole world to see, showing a very long list of names and nicknames of the 28 defendants, these being Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, aka Slime, Sergio Kitchens, aka Gunna, Diamante Kendrick, aka Yak Gotti, Khalif Adams, aka Bobby Hunt, Martinez Arnold, aka Lil Duke, Durante Beebe, aka B, Demekion Garlington, aka D, or Scarface, Damone Blaylock, aka Barley, Travaris Bradford, aka Tudor, Justin Cobb, aka Doo-Wop, Cordarius Dorsey, aka Polo or Juicy, Christian Eppinger, aka Briss, Miles Farley, aka Slato or Lil Miles, Javon Fleetwood, aka Fortray or Psycho, Quantavious Greer, aka Unfunk, Marquavius Hui, aka
And the craziest part about this shit is, bro, I don't think Unfunk getting out again, because he barely got out on his last charges, and then he got booked for having then he got out again, then he had a pipe on Bleedland. They caught him in a Lambo with a pipe on Bleedland. And this is just insane, bro. Like, Unfook made some good music. I wish he was free, bro. God damn, man. Thug did all that.
Winnie Lee, aka Slime Life Shorty, Demise McCullum.
Oh my god, I forgot Slime Life Shorty got on the stand. We ain't never getting no Slime Life Shorty music again, man. Fuck. Oh my god, we ain't never getting no Lil Duke, no Slime Life Shorty. Man, I'm so proud Gunna made it out that shit, because all the rest of them that was rapping, over with. Especially Slime Life. You took the stand. What the fuck?
aka Nard, Taquarius Mender, aka Stunner, Walter Murphy, aka DK, Jaden Myrick, aka Settrip or J-Man, Cormavius Nichols, Rodalius Ryan, aka Lil Rod, Antonio Sledge, aka Monk Trunk, Trontavious Stevens, aka Tick or Slug, Shannon Stillwell, aka Shannon Jackson or SB, Antonio Sumlin, aka Obama, and Jimmy Winfrey, aka Pee Wee Roscoe. The indictment would also include an even longer list of charges, with altogether 56 counts. This indictment painted a picture of YSL as a highly dangerous criminal enterprise, whose members had been since 2013, at least, been committing crimes like pointing guns towards police officers, conspiring to commit murders, allegations of trafficking numerous different illegal substances, numerous attempted murders, and worst of all, several allegations of actual murders, the most famous one of course being the murder of Donovan Thomas, aka Big Nut, while one of the most harrowing being the murder of a 15-year-old boy by YSL associates who themselves were as young as 15 and 17, that being Rodalius Ryan, Lil Rod, and Damon Blaylock, aka Barley. YSL, or Young Slime Life, had long been described by law enforcement as a criminal street gang, masquerading as a record label under the name Young Stoner Life. These accusations placed Young Thug at the center of a complex web of criminal activities, with authorities aiming to portray YSL, the criminal enterprise, as being under his leadership, with Thug himself facing multiple charges, including theft by receiving stolen property, more specifically 2 stolen firearms from 2013 and 2017, as well as being charged with making terroristic threats by threatening to shoot a security guard who was trying to get him to leave a shopping mall in 2015. Thug and Gunna were also charged with the possession of several illegal substances with an intent to distribute, including methamphetamine, hydrocodone, and marijuana, which stemmed from the 2017 arrest when their car was pulled over due to illegally tinted front windows. Police would initiate a search of the vehicle, finding guns and a large amount of cash, along with a plethora of drugs, including methamphetamine, hydrocodone, marijuana, amphetamine, alprazolam, aka Xanax, and of course, good old-fashioned codeine. This impressive list perhaps indicating that these rappers had begun a new hobby of speedballing in their spare time. But of course, the indictment would allege that Young Thug had been committing all of these acts while participating in criminal street gang activity. But the most consequential of the accusations against Thug would undoubtedly be the claim that he had actually rented the car that was used in the murder of Donovan Thomas, aka Big Nut. Additionally, the great majority of accusations against Thug in the indictment would include much more trivial sounding acts, much of these surrounding his use of social media and the lyrics of his songs, which the prosecutors saw to be in furtherance of the conspiracy of YSL's criminal gang. But most of these appeared rather random, given that any fan of Thug could have likely easily pointed out dozens of similar examples over the years of Thug repping YSL or Six Money Murder in his music or on social media. However, there would be some highly interesting tidbits of information mixed in with these random lyrics and social media posts, such as Thug's exchange with the alleged leader of the Six Money Murder Bloods, Kyle Ory, who had been behind bars since a gruesome 2003 murder of a young aspiring rapper named Robert Daughtry. According to the indictment, only a few weeks after the murder of Big Nut, Young Thug and Ory would have a conversation where one of them, likely Ory, would tell Thug how sacrifices had to be made and people had to die in order for the battle to be won, and that anyone who failed to fall in line with the 5 leaders of Six Money Murder in Georgia would have to be dealt with. As Thug was now sitting in the Fulton County jail, it didn't take long for his very expensive legal team to get to work, and only hours after Thug had been booked in jail, pretty tired-looking Brian Steele would make his first statement to a local TV station, refuting the allegations and proclaiming Young Thug's innocence and promising to fight to his last drop of blood to clear Thug's name.
I'll tell you the response to any allegation is Mr. Williams committed no crime whatsoever, and we will fight to my last drop of blood to clear him.
The next day, Fulton County DA Fannie Willis, along with Sheriff Patrick Labbott and Atlanta Police Chief Rodney Bryant, would announce a press conference to discuss the indictment against YSL, during which Willis would give a fiery speech against any gangs operating in Atlanta.
Today, I'm joined by the Atlanta Police Chief, Chief Rodney Bryant, as well as my sheriff and our sheriff, Sheriff Patrick Labbott. We are here today about a grand jury indictment that was returned that included not just Jeffrey Williams, which is of some notoriety and media attention, but about 28 defendants that operated within our community between the time period of 2012 and 2022. It is our allegation that
it's crazy they got that nigga. They talking about, yeah, you know we good. We know you good now. You probably don't be doing shit now, but between this time and that time, you was wilding, so we finna come lock you up. It's insane, gang. Like, there's no getting away from the street shit. I don't even know why people even play with the streets anymore. There's no fighting it. There's no getting away. Just get out. Especially with this new Instagram stuff. Like, nah.
Rated as a criminal street gang and commenced to do havoc in our community. That havoc includes crimes of violence, crimes of thefts, crimes involving drugs. I've made no secret about it, nor any apology, that as the district attorney of Fulton County, my number one focus is targeting gangs. It does not matter what your notoriety is, what your fame is. If you come to Fulton County, Georgia, and you commit crimes, and certainly if those crimes are in furtherance of a street gang, that you are going to become a target and a focus of this district attorney's office, and we are going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
DA Fannie Willis would close the press conference with an emotional speech about the impact of the murder of Donovan Nut Thomas, saying how his murder led to an unprecedented wave of violence in the streets of Atlanta, and how Nut deserved justice, just like any other member of society.
I was a prosecutor, as you know, for 16 years, 4 months, and 4 days in this office. The murder of Donovan Thomas in 2015 created violence like Atlanta has never seen. It was a goal of my predecessor and any person or prosecutor in this office to make sure that that family received justice, because everyone is entitled to justice. It was a commitment I made from the first day I walked into this office. Very shortly after me becoming the DA, I sat down with Mr. Thomas's mother, and I made her a promise that her son was as valuable as any other person within our community, and that I would put resources on this case, and that I would do everything I could to make sure that her son had justice. And yesterday was a proud day for me.
The press conference sent a clear picture. The DA had declared war on the gangs of Atlanta a while back, and now YSL was the biggest fish they had caught thus far. The next day, on May the 11th, Thug's problems would only get worse, as he would be hit with 7 new charges, all stemming from when the police raided his home, where they found numerous guns and drugs.
New accusations against rapper Young Thug stemming from a raid at his Buckhead home. Now he's charged with additional drug offenses, gang activity, and possession of weapons. He's facing 2 separate criminal cases, 2 charges from the RICO case, and 7 charges in the latest legal action.
That same day, Young Thug's father would actually make an appearance on local TV news, stating that his son was being unfairly linked to the crimes, and that he was promising to fight for his son, adding that YSL was simply a legitimate business and record label.
I think my son has been unfairly linked to a lot of things. But, you know, it's up to us to prove it. I'm going to fight for him to the end. I'm his father.
What is YSL?
It's a business. It's a record label.
On May the 13th, local news would provide more information about law enforcement's investigation into YSL, confirming.
And it's crazy. After all this, all them charges, all that time they spent building that case, everything they tried to do to tear Thug down, he beat that shit. And he could have really skated on everything, but he was just in a rush to get out of there, so he just took the probation. He could have skated. A lot of them niggas skated. Woody made him look like a fool. Slime Life pretty much blew that case up when he got on stand because he said something he wasn't supposed to say. It's everything. Everything was bad, but worked out in the end, I guess. That's what matters most, right? Hey, Slime Life Duke, if you ever see this, please keep making music. Don't let these niggas stop you. Gunna ain't let them stop him, man. Gunna ain't snitching. I don't think nobody snitched. Woody didn't snitch. It's just the fact that y'all took the stand or said some shit that y'all wasn't supposed to say at a period of time. Niggas be super hard on that street shit, man. Get y'all lame, man. I bet I'm believing.